I'm Chika Okeke-Agulu. My piece for the May issue of Artforum is a review of the exhibition by the Congolese plantation workers at the SculptureCenter here in New York. It's an exhibition of sculptures and drawings and an installation that's related to the activities of this group that was founded by the Dutch artist Renzo Martins. The exhibition itself consists of 12 sculptures, significantly cast in chocolate, which is something that the project that gave rise to this show and the rhetoric around it considers very important, this very idea of casting sculptures in chocolate that would have been produced in the Congo and made into chocolate in Europe. And that's actually what compelled me to write a review of the exhibition, not so much because of the sculptures themselves, but because of the context, because of the project that gave rise to it, the project being this plantation workers group that was established by Renzo Martins. So I was very much interested in this very idea of the Dutch artist setting up, or at least helping establish a plantation workers and artist group in the Congo. What was that about? Renzo Martins, as some of us might know, achieved art world notoriety, which can often also mean fame, because of his 2008 film, Enjoy Poverty 3. He apparently wanted to encourage Congolese youths armed with cameras to exploit their own poverty in the same way that, as he claimed, Western photojournalists exploited poverty in the global South by selling these photographs of impoverished people to the world media for high sums of money. And so for him, rather than be victims of photographic cannibalism, as it were, that he could have the Congolese themselves hopefully sell their images of poverty to whoever wanted them around the world. Of course, that was something that critics in Africa and elsewhere thought was, at the very least, absurd. And it's his response to the fallout of that project that led to his establishing what he called the Institute of Human Activities, IHA, in the Netherlands. And that institute became the staging ground for his next mission, which was to establish a center in the Congo that would then help turn plantation workers that had been ostensibly exploited by international farm organizations and so forth over the years, to try and have them make things that could be sold around the world for money in order to help themselves economically. I think it sort of development mentality that we've seen in NGOs around the world, you know, this very idea that there are these impoverished people in the Congo that we, meaning the Euro-American South, can help by giving them something, either aid or encouraging them to help themselves. The point then was for him to turn these plantation workers into artists who would then make sculptures in clay that would then be scanned there in the Congo, sent to the Netherlands, where they are 3D printed into chocolate sculptures. And it's these chocolate sculptures that were then shown at the SculptureCenter. So I'm just wondering, one, what if, given that this project is part of Renzo Martins' own artistic project, what if he moves on to the next project? What happens to these Congolese plantation workers that would have been taking on a journey into becoming artists in the art world, what happens to them? Do they return to where they were before, prior to this gentrification project, or what? Given that pretty much every step of the way, their access to the international art world is determined by Renzo Martins. Is this a new form of dependency? Is this a new form of neocolonization through the art world? It's clear that what Renzo Martins is trying to do with the plantation workers in the Congo, he's not alone in thinking that he can bring contemporary art to the rescue of impoverished peoples around the world. I frankly have my serious doubts about projects like this, in the sense that there's a kind of vanishing, really glossing, as it were, of the very complicated lives that people live in these parts of the world. The very fundamental idea that the art world could provide a solution. Art being, as it were, what it is. It's not the terrain of economists or politicians or medical doctors or teachers and what have you. It exists at the realm of the symbolic, which is what gives art its value. We've seen similar things like that in the sense of artists going to places like Namibia or even Nigeria to build cooperatives where, women, men, children make things that are sold in Walmart and hope that it will get wide distribution, and from there they become entrepreneurs. That I can understand. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But to think that what these people are doing is part of a contemporary art practice, I think that's where I have a problem. The very idea that they are sort of dancing conveniently between the borders of aesthetics, of contemporary art, and, mundane economics, mundane lives that people live in precarious circumstances in places like the Congo. And I would just say for the record that I'm curious about the very fact that a project like this conveniently ignores the contemporary political circumstances of these Congolese people. You have a country that right now, a dictatorship really, has refused to leave office and has thrown the country into turmoil. You have a project that seems to think that what these people need is a museum and an institute for artistic research. And at the same time, you find in the literature how much money the project has generated in order to make better the lives of the people. There's something fundamentally wrong in thinking or even projecting the imperial, the colonial history of the Congo as the core problem that has impacted the lives of these people, when in fact the post-colonial regimes that have ruled the Congo are responsible for the more recent devastation through the civil wars and the massacres that have been going on in the Congo. Why the silence of a project like this? Perhaps because it's convenient, perhaps because that's the only way such a project can go on in the Congo without the actors being run out of town by these regimes. So I'm very curious when it comes to an art project that is selling itself as an art project, but at the same time wants to pretend as if it's taking a critical position, really, in the political and ideological networks or infrastructures that have negatively and direly impacted the lives of the people of the Congo.